so virtual ID table. So this is what a few mushrooms that some folks have sent. Um, I'll start with this one. This one was submitted by Jim Dwyer. Uh, um, I guess I can start talking about forays real quick. Um, so I guess you've seen the foray notices are going out. Um, I'm trying to be fair and add a few people from the wait list and this kind of thing. And I've also included some family memberships. I'll mention it in the next notice, but be aware if you don't add your guest, if you are signing up for a guest, please add your guest, because if you don't, it looks like there's slots open and people are concerned. Hey, why won't it give me this slot? So anyway, there'll be more forays in the future. We'll see how it goes, but anyway, you'll hear more, and I'll start sending those out shortly. So this one was submitted by Jim Dwyer, and you can see it's a beautiful orange. I believe he thought it was a piece of plastic or something. Uh, I got this one late last month, I believe, when he had found this. It was still pretty cold. This is Sarcoscypha. So I think we used to call this one Coccinia, but apparently that's a Western species, so it could be Dudleyi or Austraica, and you would need microscope to really be able to tell. There are other Sarcoscyphas that that have little stems and stuff like that, but anyway, thought that was a pretty little find there. So Marilyn Dean Mendel sent a few over. I thought this one was kind of cool. It's another of the stinkhorns, and but this one has this weird like lizard claw at the top. This is Losurus moccasin or moccasin. I don't know how to pronounce this. I would call this a lizard claw, and some people call it the lantern stinkhorn. Kind of a cool find there. I don't think I've ever found that one. If anybody wants to give me a suggestion for this one, I have no idea. It's kind of cool. I thought it may be a Thelephora. Kind of looks cauliflowery looking, but it's not the right kind of time of year, and it's a little, I don't think that's what this is. Anyway, I'm not sure, but it looks pretty cool. She also sent over this one, which is fairly common. I always thought this one kind of looked like dried pig's ears. It usually has like a darker base where attached, where the stem is and lighter on the edges. You can see closer. It's actually a polypore. It's got this pretty classic black stipe on it. This is Polyporus badius. It's kind of leathery. Neat little find. They're fairly common. She also found this one, which I always like. Sometimes you don't find it in such a mosaic like this. This is actually one of the crust fungi, which probably mentioned a couple months ago. This is Lobolus frustulatus. They call it the ceramic parchment. So you can see it actually looks like a mosaic there. Sometimes it's not as much, one here and there, but it looks kind of cool when you've got a big flush of it on a tree stump like that. This was a neat little find by Mark Engel. Zooming in here, it's got this gelatinous stipe and this round head on it. The one we find in this area is more like this. It's kind of more of a yellow color. There's also an orangey red colored one. They call that one hot lips, and the little yellow part up here would actually be red. This is also, it's kind of like a little puffball. So the spores are actually produced in this ball up at the top. This is Calostoma lutescens. The stipe there is real kind of gelatinous. It's kind of weird looking, but it's a fun find. So this one's submitted by Estella Waldman. This is one of our common spring mushrooms. You can see it kind of has this shiny sheen to it. It looks like it's grown from either mulch or maybe some old decaying wood next to it. After cutting it, you can see it's got these free gills, so they don't attach to the stem, and the gills are starting to get this kind of pinkish hue to them. That would, especially, they do, you can find these throughout the year, but the spring, they tend to find these quite often when you're hunting for morels. This is Pluteus cervinus. They call it the fawn mushroom. It's similar features to an entoloma, but this one's always growing from wood, whereas entolomas are terrestrial. Some people say this is edible. I've never actually tried it, I don't think. So, but you do have to be aware entolomas can make you quite sick. So you got to be very careful with something like that. This one was submitted by Fred Hicks, growing on a log. You can see they look sideways, so somebody must have kicked this log over. What look like, I'll switch over, look like the gills, which I've turned this sideways. So this is actually the thick-mazed oak polypore. That's a fun find. And you can see why they call it the thick maize. There's also a thin maize polypore that grows. This one's very distinct, though. It's Daedalea corsina, and you may recognize Daedalea actually comes from Daedalus, which is the, of the labyrinth and the Minotaur fame. And finally would be this one, which we found this weekend. I was kind of excited. We might not have found any morels, but this one was a fun find for me. This is actually the devil's urn. It's an ascomycete. It's kind of got this gelatinous tissue layer. You can see it's cut, and here's it's got like this little opening where the spores will be released, and so this is where the asci would be. That would be releasing the spores. This grows from like branches and twigs on the ground, and is another one of the common spring finds, Hernula craterium. So finally, they mentioned the iNaturalist. I just wanted to throw this in there. So a lot of you guys are sending me pictures. This is a nice way that you can take your pictures and enter them into an app on your phone. And sometimes you can get some help identifying things, so you can post them and other people can look at them. We had talked about this, I think, at the last meeting, and we also had that iNaturalist meeting on our own or by itself. Anyway, give it a try if you want. You can see there's 39 members there. You can join up. It's free. Anyway, thanks for the submissions, everybody. And I'll hope to see you out there.